Buenos dias and welcome to Speaking Tangents, episode 4. My name is Orion and my co-host
is Fidas, and yeah, we're professionally going off topic. Always. Right.
Good to see you again, mate.
Good to see you too. We have a belly full of pizza, so we're happy enough. Yeah, right. How has your week been?
Yeah, it has been a week. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would say interesting, sometimes fun.
We have some digital noise. I think we keep... yeah, it's because of the phone.
Yeah. I prepared some stuff for today.
All right, very nice.
So, next time I'll do it on paper. Yeah, so my week was a week, ups and downs. And yeah, I'm glad it's the weekend. How was yours?
Was good. I had a couple of days off, let's say, more or less.
Nice.
I'm still teaching Tuesdays, but it's doesn't really feel like work. It's I discovered that I love teaching, so this
Nice.
might have a say in my future endeavors. And yeah, otherwise I painted the hallway, as you saw. It was more of a POC thing because I want to paint the living room too. When we moved here, as I told you before, it was like this stucco Veneziano thing, which it's okay, I guess, but after 5 years it kind of gets old.
It's time for something new.
Yeah, I need something that... So this thing now with like summer sun and summer light looks okay.
Yeah.
In winter, Jesus, is gloomy, is depressing, is...
Yeah.
So for our listeners, imagine it's kind of beige with some like dirty streaks of darker brownish thing. It looks dirty. That's the look it gives.
It looks like the houses in the Sicilian village in The Godfather 1.
Exactly. So
Exactly like that.
that's the idea. So it's a stucco Veneziano. It's kind of like the interior design thing from many hundreds of years ago in Venice. However, it kind of ran its course, and here we are today in 2026. I kind of want something new. Plus, we have, as you saw, a mold issue around the windows because our building is not not insulated thermally, which is not good. So it's class E of energy, which is not great. But it is what it is. And
yeah, it should be G for great, right?
or for other points in anatomy, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, great points. Right. So where was I? Yeah, how was my week? Yesterday I had kind of a hell afternoon. I had a late shift at this bar where I'm doing some bartending stuff, and Jesus Christ, people were thirsty, man. I have to say, thirsty like hell.
I mean,
So
it was hot yesterday.
it was really hot, and today was even hotter. But yeah, one of our colleagues got sick. Let's run with that. And so yeah, I had to do double duty, and by the end of it, I was like, I've had enough. So enough about that. Yeah, otherwise... Yeah, go with your prepared written stuff. I'm curious.
So I prepared something. I feel like a grown-up right now.
Nice.
So I spent the afternoon thinking, at least partially, about what would be a terrible superpower that's technically kind of useful, that could make you rich and powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just jump in. So I was thinking about being a Q oracle. So looking at a Q and knowing exactly down to the millisecond when it resolves.
Okay. I mean, that you would be like a probability genius of sorts.
Well, that actually depends on, or how much of a genius I am depends actually on how we define a queue, right?
Right.
So I spent some portion of the afternoon coming up with some definitions,
Right.
which is really interesting because, I mean, the very surface level and obvious use case is stuff like supermarket, right? I don't have to wait in line anymore, like longer than necessary at least, because I always know which queue is going to be faster. Or like being at any of the many Bürgerämter or anything else, you know, where you have to like wait in line for stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, or like, you know.
But
going-
wait, you said like a useless superpower. I mean, this sounds like a super useful
No,
one.
terrible superpower that's technically useful, but kind of also makes you powerful.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
no, that's good, mate. I mean,
Right?
I tried to, by the way, this is not super spontaneous. He gave me a heads up a couple of hours ago, and I kept on thinking about stuff, and I was like, man, I'm stumped. I mean, I could see like one of those useless superpowers to know like seconds ahead when something is going to go wrong, but still you cannot do anything about it. So it's kind of useless, and you might, I don't know, if you're like quick enough to send a message to someone, you might monetize it in a way, but otherwise it's quite useless because there's nothing you can do about it. So it's kind of like watching it in real time unfolding, and it's like, oh shit. So yeah, no, I'm really stumped. That was good. That's good. And also your other idea that you sent me.
The sock locator.
Yeah, sock locator. That's like the most apparent thing
100%.
one can. Yeah. So for any of our listeners who have kids, we don't have to explain that. Like socks lost and found in the most awkward places or the most. So wait, where was like the most bizarre place you found one of your kids' socks?
Oh boy, where do I start? So the obvious ones in the side like pockets of my backpack for some reason. Any backpack. Once like stuffed into the pocket of my pants, so I usually wear some type of cargo pants, and I had like socks in there for whatever reason.
Of course.
And like everywhere in like under the couch, on the couch, behind the couch, like any nook and cranny you can think of, I found socks there.
Right. So my most puzzling sock find was under my pillow. Was one of my kids' socks, and it was a stinky one, mate.
Of course.
Was a stinky one, right? So yeah, in the pockets, yeah, rucksack, sure. On my bike. So I found one of the socks on my bike, like on the. I have like this. I don't know how to call it, like a baggage thing. But it has no bags, no nothing. It's just that metal thing that you can clip something.
Yeah.
Under that clippy, springy thing, there was a sock. How and what and why, I don't know, but it was there. So yeah,
but think about the possibilities there for a moment. So you can track the sock, right? So you know where it is. Can you still track it if somebody is wearing it? And if you could...
Okay, we go into GDPR already.
Like, you know where this is going, right? Like,
yeah.
So if you could track a sock while somebody is wearing it, is there a limit to who you could track? How long you can track them? You could sell the data. You'd be like,
I mean,
rich
today,
and powerful,
in the
fast.
today's market, sure. And also, I was thinking about my stupid idea of knowing something seconds before it happened. So, this could be like a superpower in winning bets for games and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's about it. But you have seconds, so you have to automate the entire process. For example, there was this guy.
I mean, define seconds. 5 seconds is seconds. 10 seconds is seconds.
I don't know.
1 second is also seconds.
It's kind of like that idiom, like "give me a second," right? Yeah. Is it a second? Almost no. Yeah, almost not. But so about this automation of stuff, I was talking with this guy, fellow Romanian, and he applied for some European funds for infrastructure and stuff.
Okay.
Basically, he opened like a small, how are they called? NGO, right? So non-governmental.
Organization?
Yes, and also non-profit, right?
Like an EV in Germany, an eingetragener Verein, something
I
like
guess,
that.
I guess so, yeah. And so I think this year there are still some funds, but they're moving back to Central Europe because
Okay.
for the last years they were really focused on Eastern Europe because, yeah, after the fall of communism, it was really bad in that place. I lived it.
Really?
Yeah. I actually went through it. I know it first person, and so yeah, and so he was trying to get like the last of the funds, right? Allocated funds, and because some people have lots of minions that would call special numbers for them and send a specific form to a specific institution at the exact time and stuff like this.
Another superpower. Imagine knowing exactly when to fill which form and how.
Yes, that's a superpower, and that's not
In
useless.
Germany, yeah.
In Germany, that's kind of like your God Almighty of the bureaucracy. Yeah. So this guy got one of those MIDI controllers, like I have that one down there. Like for our listeners, imagine a box with buttons, and you can assign a specific function to a button, kind of like a keyboard, but without the alphabet or the number thing. You can assign whatever. So he had this MIDI controller with 4 or 5 buttons, and he assigned to each one like send email, call, he had to do a certain, there was a certain sequence of events that had to be unfolded in a specific order, so you could get to one of the operators, so they would take your paperwork. Amazing, right? Bureaucracy in at its finest.
Sorry, I was asleep for a second. What?
Mega interesting. You missed it. Anyways, so that's how he obtained that thing. So about superpowers, sometimes automation and automating stuff can be a superpower. So
yeah. The funny thing of this like thought experiment was the definition could change everything, right? Because if we look at real life, oftentimes what the difference between two positions is the definition of what something means or something should be, or the convention, right? Like we don't do X, Y, or Z because we as a society think it's not okay, not good, or we do it because we think it's good, right? And so going back, for example, to the Q thing is like, what do I define as Q, right? If I define a queue like something waiting to be processed, like in the example of, let's say, the supermarket queue, I mean, it's like it's gonna save you maybe a few minutes, but beyond that, there's not much like to be gained there. But if you think of it, for example, in the sense of network packages, also things waiting in line to be processed, right? So now you're optimizing networks and infrastructure, maybe potentially even, right? Or if you think about all the processes in, let's say, automotive, right? If you go there with that definition, then all of a sudden the thing you understand and you can do with a superpower gets really broad, and you can even go further than that. You could say we're just basically waiting. It's an event that's waiting to be resolved at some point, right? So now we're talking stock markets, wars, politics. And that was the actual interesting part. I mean, of course, in the beginning it was funny, like, haha, Well, what could be a stupid, like, terrible superpower, and then you come up with like, oh, finding socks, oh my god, right? But like all the examples we had, they could escalate really quickly, just depending on definition.
Right.
And that was the really interesting, like, idea behind all of this, or the interesting part. Like, we just agree on something, and then we just go with it, and that's that. And we don't do or do things just because it's been done like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody comes around and just doesn't know or doesn't care,
Mm-hmm.
that's when disruption happens, right?
Right. That's going from let's say a mundane to a more deeper part of it. But this reminds me, so I think I told in one of the previous episodes about how my wife studied anthropology.
Yeah, it
And
was the last one, actually, I think.
I think so, yeah. And I was reading a lot of her material because I don't know, it was there, I guess.
It's interesting.
And it is truly interesting. But I remember, so we went for this. So in Romania, in Sibiu, there's every 4 years, I think. It might be a yearly thing, but I'm not sure. There's like this special festival of anthropologic film.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
cool.
it's a very
Didn't
interesting
know
thing.
that.
Yes, so in Sibiu there are many things that are happening, which are kind of unique in Romania as well. So it's very cool city, and that's one of the reasons we bought a house very close to it. So I was discussing with one of her professors. He was actually an assistant, I think, at the time, so he wasn't a full-on professor, university professor, but still a very interesting guy.
But he was doing all the work.
Yeah, exactly. You know it, right? So I was younger and greener, and I had very narrow definitions of everything and very
Yeah.
fixed, like all of us do when we're young, and we know it all.
Yeah, we know it all. We know best.
And I told him, like, mate, but there are customs that have been the same for thousands of years. And he was like, there's no such things,
100%. Yeah.
or there's no such thing as customs. Things are always changing and in a perpetual state of motion. I was like, no, I don't agree with you. Listen, so my grandpa, he was in agriculture, and he was also like a night's watch at this very interesting museum in Bucharest, like the old palace of Vlad Țepeș, so the Dracula.
The Impala.
Yes, exactly, the Impala. And actually, I got into some more, let's say, restricted areas of or unvisitable by anyone.
Oh, cool.
When I was a kid, and yeah, it was cool. I remember some mosaics and some stuff that was like, I was mesmerized by those tiny pieces of ceramic, right?
Yeah.
Ceramic.
Ceramic. Ceramic is German.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's I have a salad of words in my head. So
That was also very German.
yes,
Wortsalat.
Wortsalat, genau. yeah. It's been going in and out. Where was I? Yes. So I remember I spent some time with my grandpa, and my grandpa, let's say, was not a very talkative guy.
Mm-hmm.
After his son died, so my uncle died when I was, I think, 6 or something like that. So yeah, it was a tragedy in our family. He was barely 39 when he died.
Damn.
Yeah. And after that, let's say he started drinking more and smoking more and talking less. Yeah, I can understand now. Then I was a bit perplexed. Now, having kids, yeah.
Yeah.
And
The grief part, to be clear.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So not necessarily the boozing part or whatever, but I remember, so in our very brief and not reoccurring talks, let's say, he told me about his grandpa. His grandpa, who was quite a figure, let's say, in the area. So they were His grandpa have been a cavalryman in the King's Army.
Mm-hmm.
I think he also fought in our independence war, so it was quite a thing. And he survived because like it was a carnage for anyone. So when Romania gained its independence in 1877, we allied with the Tsarist Russia against the Ottoman Turks. That was the entire plot of the story. And let's say by the end of things, Russia ended up stealing some of our land because, right, that's what they do. Anyways, so going back to the story, and he kept on saying and kept on, like all kind of stories from the war, from his grandpa, from his childhood. He came from closer to the Danube, so they were from what's now called Giurgiu, and they moved near to Bucharest because I don't know why, because reasons.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, and he kept on telling me about how his grandpa was planting seeds. Like there was a thing always when it was a full moon and you can see the moon. And also the grandpa of his grandpa, so my great, I have 6 or 7 times grandpa, was doing the same, and so on and so forth. So from this sort of very narrow information, I drew a conclusion that yes,
a generalized conclusion.
Yes, that this has always been the same, and it's been done, and this and that and this and that. Because of course the impression, I was very impressionable and young, and let's say because my grandpa was not very verbose, well, that was kind of like a core memory,
Yeah.
If you saw that animation Inside Out, it's like blim, another sphere, colored sphere. So we went, like drinking a lot of red wine, me and my wife's university assistant and or professor. You know what I mean.
Yeah,
anyways,
I know what you mean.
And
the guy that worked for the professor
exactly.
your wife was studying with.
He wasn't my wife's assistant.
Yeah.
He was her professor. Anyway, but I kind of went with it, and like, no, I'm right and you're wrong. Of course, I was right because I had one talk with my grandpa, and this guy just did like an entire university and a master's course, and he was just doing his doctoral degree.
Yeah, spent 20 years doing that. Yeah.
So of course I was right and he was wrong, but this is the thing at the end. There's no such thing as like traditions and the custom of the land that stays the same for even hundreds of years. I mean, there are some things that kind of rhyme with something that did happen before, but they're not the same because we're always adapting to a new reality. And I would say from my personal life example, every 10 years I'm a different person. So
yeah,
I remember kind of how I was in my 20s, then in my 30s I was a different guy, still strong-headed and kind of highly opinionated, but not as much. And then now in my 40s I'm kind of way mellower, and even though I presume for some of you listeners I still kind of seem a bit hard-headed and highly opinionated, I'm way less than I used to be. So yeah,
that's really interesting. So I had the chance to actually meet my great-grandfather.
Oh wow.
That was in 2003. So at that point he was already over 100 years old.
Wow.
And it was really, really interesting because you could clearly see that we shared the same basic and core values, but the phenotype, let's say, the way they were expressed in everyday walking, talking, thinking, were vastly different.
Right.
And we had like approximately 100 years between us.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so we don't know exactly how old my great-grandfather was when he died, somewhere between 108 and 113.
Oh,
Because
wow.
back then, in the area, in the village they lived and where he was born, there is no real paper trail.
Oh.
And so
Okay.
that was a really, really interesting experience, knowing somebody who's that old. And it's even more interesting in retrospective, right? Because when we met him, I was like 11 years old. I wasn't
Right.
thinking about these things, but looking back, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And a while back, so every Friday, I listen to a German podcast. It's called Lanz und Precht. So Markus Lanz, the TV guy from ZDF, who has like his own polit talk show,
Right.
and Richard David Precht,
Mhm.
like the biggest German philosopher right now, they like get together and talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this phrase that I picked up. It was what was it? I can't remember exactly. It's like die gleichzeitige Ungleichzeitigkeit. So
Wow, that's hard to translate.
that's hard to translate. Like on one hand,
Yeah.
on the one hand side, like people, traditions, societies live in the here and now,
Yeah.
right? They are just in time,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time, these societies and parts of them, they are not in the present. Some still kind of think and live like in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Some already live in the future, in quotes, right?
Yeah.
And that's where friction in societies come from,
Right.
right? And applying this to traditions, like even though my great-grandfather and I grew up with the same core values, the details changed a lot,
Exactly.
right? So, for example, that's a really interesting one. At that time, my great-grandfather said, I'm pretty sure at some point, people will be able to see each other while talking on the phone.
Mhm.
To me, as a kid, it was like, what? That's not possible, right?
Yeah.
I was the one born in the 1900s, like late 1900s, and in the 90s to be specific. And
Don't say like that, man. This bugs the hell out of me when my kids say, "Yeah, but you're from the 1900s." Like, come on.
I'm proud of it, dude. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
but
the
still.
90s. Who doesn't want to be a 90s kid?
When I was a kid and I was reading something about the 1900s, it was like 905 or
Yeah,
913.
I know, that's why I specified in the
Yes.
90s. Come on.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting because I was born way later than him.
Mm.
Like when I grew up, running water, electricity, phones, they were just there. They were
Yeah,
just part
normal.
of everyday life.
Exactly.
But I did not have the experience nor the imagination to imagine video calls, right? My great-grandfather did. I can like remember the conversation,
Interesting.
right? And
Smart
then
guy.
yeah, absolutely. And then you have like people, for example, in the US right now, they want to get back to the 1850s. At the same time, we also have people in the US that already, I'll say it in a mean way, they're already like praying to the AI overlord, right? It's the same society.
Yeah.
And so while there are traditions, I think they are not consistent in their details across generations, even between me and my parents,
Yeah.
right? But even though the details change really fast,
Mm.
I think the core values, they stay the same. And that's why we have the impression of, no. This tradition, this has been here for 6,000 years. I don't think it has, but that's why we get the impression, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and also going back to my argument or my story from before. So I observed this thing on myself, like especially when I was younger. I would read a title or hear someone telling a story about something, not verifying it, taking it as absolute truth, and, going to town with it, which is exactly what happens now with lots of social media posts, which are truly designed to do that or to create this effect. You kind of get a gist, or it's usually a tricky gist of what the conclusion of that entire article is from the title. You read the title, okay, I know what happened. And even if, let's say, it's a well-written article by a well-meaning journalist, it's still done in a way which is misleading. It's a dark path. And that's what's happening, unfortunately, with lots of people. I mean, I remember many moronic conversations I had with people who strongly believed some truly... I don't know how to qualify them even. So, like invented facts and historical facts, right? And about this, I was just watching this documentary about the Romanian protochronism. This was a thing that was invented in the 70s, I think, by historian and philosopher, very in line with the Communist Party. The backstory is this one. They knew the country was going bankrupt because communism will never succeed because it's an unnatural system, let's say. And I will just rest my case here.
Let's leave it at that.
I will go in detail in another episode because we don't have enough time for me just to go off on communism.
But I agree with you.
The party needed a story that would fill empty stomachs and also empty minds, unfortunately. So they invented this story. So the Romanian protochronism.
Just as an aside, there is a direct relation between empty stomach and empty mind. Like if people go hungry and they have to worry about feeding themselves the next day, you're not spending time thinking about big things. You're just surviving. So.
And still
those are correlated,
and still in the time of my parents there were some people who were starving and still thinking, they were still doing that. After the 90s things went a bit bizarre. Anyways, so the party needed a propaganda that would make people take the blow of what was about to happen better, right?
Yeah.
So they invented this myth about the Dacians, which, it was the exact KGB playbook and or the Nazi propaganda playbook. So it was mixed bits of truth with a lot of falsehoods, frame everything as a scientific fact, irrefutable fact. So it's kind of like, and also kind of like a logic. It's kind of like, come on, man, this is like, of course, that's what happened.
Just enough truth to make it palatable,
right? So here's one of their theories. Trajan's column, right, in Rome.
Yeah. So
on the Trajan's column, which is a wonderful monument in itself, it's described. The Romans described the conquest of Dacia, of what's the country or the people, the culture that used to live approximately where Romania is today. And they're showing like fortifications which existed. They're showing armored a cavalryman and infantryman, also bare bare naked guys with they had some special falksmen.
Yeah, like berserker type of
Kind
warriors.
of, kind of the same kind of thing. I presume they were either drunk or drugged or
both.
got into a frenzy of whatever. Again, there was the historical part and there was the hysterical part, I would say.
And a good way to put it, yeah.
And so they said this: if this country was so small and insignificant, how come they dedicated to it the biggest thing in Rome? Which, it's a big piece of marble, I presume, or something. They carved it on, and also there are some Dacian noblemen, like statues, which are carved into in the same type of rock which they kept only for emperors. So they were like, well, what's the explanation of that? And of course the explanation is that the Dacians were the first ever people, so they were the Indo-Europeans, they were the first people. They were Adam and Eve, basically. The communist version of Adam and Eve.
Another freaking Übermensch Herrenrasse story.
Of course, it was the exact same playbook, same word for word.
Yeah.
So again, the Aryans, blue-eyed, blonde, they were hardworking men. They weren't about to kneel in front of anyone. They were this and that and this and that and at some point, it's so absurd that it's even tiring to or a non-starter to start a discussion with anyone, because people who truly believe in that, and I'm so sorry to say this, but as per the last census of sorts or political research thing, almost 40% of my fellow Romanians truly believe in this communist fairy tale that says that we invented everything before anyone else. So we were before any Western civilization. Sumerians? No, we were the Sumerians. We were before the first writing. So now, again, murking the waters, right?
Yeah.
So the first known pseudo writing, let's say, because it has the aspect of writing, but it could never be proven that it is writing, right? Nobody proved it until now, and still. Yes, even older than the Sumerian writing or any other kind of like the Tamil or any other language, was found on what's nowadays Ukraine, Romania and Serbia. So they are the fabled and the famous tablițele de la Tartaria. So the tiny tablet, things, ceramic tablets from the Tartaria. They look like, I have an entire book about it. It's been documented by Italian linguists and archaeologists. So it's not just a communist invention. Those things exist, but nobody could ever truly decode it, one. And two, they don't know if it's writing or just some kind of symbols that meant something.
Yeah.
But again, like, making everything like,
But even with that, like, so life started there too then, I guess, and not in Africa, right? Because everything started there? That's like the type of thing that was going on or is going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's so stupid that it's just stupid. It's just stupid, and it's just people believing in fairy tales and just making abstraction of anything that they don't care for or they don't want to believe. And it's exactly that. It's a religion. It's a new type of religion of sorts. It's a cult, right?
And a matter of definition again, right? We just define this to be what we want to apply or be the truth. So in our world, this is now how things are.
Exactly, and the absolute truth, right? And a similar process happened in Bulgaria under, I think their dictator was called Zhivkov, if I'm not mistaken. Also in Albania. And lo and behold, there is some proof that Albanians might be the actual first culture in Europe, way before anyone else.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, they seem
Haven't
to...
heard that before.
Yes, I saw something. I don't have any source at hand, but I saw a very interesting documentary and I read the attached paper. Well, it was an excerpt, not the entire thing.
Okay.
I'm no archaeologist. I'm a musician with a big passion for languages and history, and that's about it. But yes, seems like there is some actual claim that Albanian might be one of the oldest languages in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting thing is that us Romanians and they Albanians were sharing some words. And there is an actual linguistic theory that says that language might be a remnant of the Illyrian, what was called the Illyrian, right? From the Illyria province.
Yeah.
And might be, one of the first languages. Still Indo-European language, as syntax, structure, everything. But but from that to saying that we were the first first people who invented everything, like hot water and like, come on, man, but I was talking to this Albanian guy and he was like, you see, the smaller the country is, the bigger the ego and the bigger the history, because you need
100%.
You need something to cling on to, right? And
it's even worse with minorities.
Yeah. So I don't know much about that bit, but maybe you can, please.
Yeah, so I said in the last podcast, so I'm of Assyrian descent, right? So ancient Mesopotamia, and we also grew up with like the Assyrians. They invented everything and writing and the wheels and so on and so forth, and Assyria is the cradle of civilization and all that stuff. And the more you grew up, the more you started actually looking into things. I mean, it was not completely wrong, but it was also not completely right. And so, as it turns out, if you're a minority, you actually need an even stronger glue that keeps your society together, right? And that's part of how you see yourself. It's like really, really important. And so you have to have a reason to exist, because if your culture is no better than another one's, then some people might come to the conclusion that you have no right to exist, which of course is wrong. But if you are a minority that has been, hunted down and like killed for hundreds of years, that's an actual fear, right? So I talked about the big genocide in 1915, and Turkey, for example, still does not acknowledge it. So that's actually part of people's identity or identities, and the smaller the group, the more these properties, let's say, of the group become important, right? So if you go to a place, right? So for example, as a German, you go somewhere into, let's say, a faraway place, Southeast Asia or something, and you meet fellow Germans there. Like if you meet each other in Munich, you're not even gonna say good morning to each other. But now you're in Southeast Asia, and you're the only 3 Germans in like 1,000 kilometers radius. Now all of a sudden, hey, you Germans, all so cool, and and I think that's also just very human of us.
Don't rush to conclusions, because you haven't met lots of Romanians. For us, it's exactly the opposite. If we're somewhere where there's like lots of other people and we're the only Romanians, I'm not talking for myself because I'm not your average Romanian, but most Romanians would avoid each other.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Or are you extrapolating here as well?
No, actually, it's quite. For me, it's quite unnerving because, as everyone can see here, I'm talking a lot, and I like communicating with people. I like, like, hey, how are you? You good? Where are you from? And just making small talk and stuff like this. But I still think this is a deep-seated fear from the communist era, where people were turning on each other. And people would rather like switch languages all of a sudden, like, no, I don't speak the language, I don't know, then open up. Or
But okay, so let's say I accept that argument for the property nationality. All right, but wouldn't you say that what I said still applies to humans in general? Because we are kind of tribal and social people, so we always try to find things that defines us and defines them, right? Because at least from what I have been seeing so far, is that what makes me part of a group is just as important as what makes me not part of the rest.
100% with you. However, I think different nationalities have different realities, influenced by the recent to not
By
so
their history, yes.
not so recent past, right? So I mean, I'm not your average Romanian, you're not the average German anyways. So,
or Assyrian for that matter.
Or Syrian, yes. I haven't met too many of your fellow Assyrians. I've met one more. No, two more. Three more. No, three, exactly. So one of my barbers, he's from Irpil. So nowadays Iraq.
Yep.
Yes. And he's speaking the other dialect.
Yeah, the Eastern Assyrian. Yeah.
Right. I had a colleague, Flora, who was also Assyrian, also from
the Iraqi side,
around the Erbil, or Erbil. I saw on the map, but I don't know. Yeah. I heard it pronounced Erbil, so I guess it's like that.
We say Arabil.
Perfect. And we also had another colleague where we used to work together, who was also Eastern, from the eastern part. Yeah. Oh, sorry, don't hit the mic. Of the Assyrian people. So yeah, they are saying Shloma, right? Shlama, and you're saying Shlomo for
Shlomo,
high.
Yeah, exactly. So the Iraqi territory, like in northern Iraq, around Mosul and Baghdad. So Mosul is near where ancient Nineveh was, and Baghdad is near where the ancient city of Babylon was, and that's part of our ancestral home, yes. And then there is like part in Syria, and a little tiny bit of Iran, and then in the southeastern part of Turkey, like all that area, that's the ancestral home.
Right.
And the Assyrian people in Turkey and Syria, they talk the Western dialect. And the guys in Iraq and Iran, they talk the Eastern dialect, which is closer to the ancient Akkadian and Assyrian, actually. And so, for example, as you said, Shlomo is what we say in the Western dialect, and Shlama is what they say in the Eastern one. And that's one of the key differentiators, actually. So all the male versions in the Western dialect and on an O.
Yeah.
So, for example, my dog would be Kalbo, but the Eastern guys would say Kalba.
Okay, which would be like the female version for you, right?
Exactly. For us, it would be the female version. But that's actually...
Which in English nowadays sounds way harsher than it should.
Yeah, exactly. And Kalba is actually the word that's been passed down and hasn't changed at all, for example.
All right.
It's just a dog, basically. So depending on where you're from, and it's pretty hard if you don't know the language to understand it, even if it's a dialect.
Mm-hmm.
Dialect is a little too little, but like a branch of the main language.
Right.
And they're pretty different. So if you are not used to it, and they just talk, and then they talk even in their dialect, because depending on where you're from, you're still different, right?
Okay.
It's
So it's
actually really
complex.
hard. It's like Germany German, and then like Austrian German, or even like Swiss German.
Swiss German is just
it's different.
yeah, it's really different. So I've met some people from Switzerland, and before beer they were still speaking Hochdeutsch. After beer they went to their whatever village dialect that was from whatever valley.
Yeah.
Man, no, this one for a second I thought, is this Swedish? Because I studied for like 1.5 years Swedish. I was like, this kind of sounds like Swedish, but I don't. Maybe it's Danish. But I thought they were speaking German when we started this conversation, right?
They did, yeah.
We were I was at the second or third beers. I was still pretty sober, and I was like, what's happening here? Yeah, no, I'm not doing Schweizerdeutsch.
It's like completely different,
really different. I mean, Austrian German sounds happier in a way. I've heard lots of nasty jokes said about how they sound. For me, so as I just said, I studied a bit of Swedish, so I heard at some point some Norwegians. So Norwegian and Swedish, not getting into the nitty-gritty, but let's say Norway has two big dialects, like the northern and the southern. The southern bit, which I think is kind of like their official Norwegian thing, sounds very or very similar to Swedish. It's not a song, but sounds very happy.
Which makes sense, though.
Everything ends up on an upbeat, let's say,
Yeah.
on an upwards trajectory. But I was still like kind of understanding, kind of not understanding. I got some numbers, I got some this and that, and I was like, what dialect of Swedish is that? No, it's Norwegian. Okay.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
But for me, so the Austrian dialect of German, or the Austrian version of German, because they also have different words for the same stuff. We kind of, you might not know what they're saying. Also sounds happy. Sounds a bit like Norwegian is to Swedish. It's like,
it sounds a little bit more posh. It's like American English and British English a little bit.
Oh, I never got the poshness. I just...
Oh, yeah, you should, when you get
like
the chance.
The Viennese, I presume.
Talk to people from Vienna, it's like...
True. They sound a bit more hochnäsig, as you'd say around here. So like stiff upper lip or posh, true. But... it's very intelligible. That's what I find
true.
About it.
Yeah.
Which I don't really find about most of these southern dialects here in Germany. So
yeah, I was just about to say, you can drive into the Allgäu and then vaya con Dio.
Yeah, it's something. Especially if you go, so not Kempten, not one of the bigger cities, let's say, or Memmingen or something, because people still speak more or less standard German, let's say. But yeah, if you
standard German is a big word.
More or less, mate. I mean, I've only done the airport in Memmingen, and people, they're at work, they have to use Hochdeutsch, right? But yeah, of course, I'm pretty sure if you go into the, somewhere into the hills, you're done. Yeah. You're done for. But it was same for me here, like pretty close to Munich, like Bad Tölz. I had a gig there. And there was a guy next to me, and he said, "Give me a Gleitz. I was like, what? And I turned to my drummer, my ex-drummer actually, and he's from northern Germany, but he spent like 20 years or something in Munich and around. So he understands lots of the southern dialects now. Even though he's a Fischkopf. He's a fish head, as people call them here. It's a very funny name. And he said, I think he said, give me 2 beers.
Yeah.
But, like in this southern dialect thing, or southern dialects here, they don't say the entire word. So they cut a lot of it. There's like apostrophes everywhere.
Everywhere,
if you'd, So yeah, dialects, this is a thing that really fascinates me, even about Romania. So I'm from Bucharest. I'm from the poshest city, where what used to be is not anymore. Now Cluj is the most posh, is like in Transylvania somewhere.
Yeah. You know why I know Cluj?
No?
I used to play Counter-Strike, and there was like always a really big tournament in Cluj-Napoca.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, it was a religion in Romania, Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
It never truly got me. I was already like playing Warcraft and what was the other one? Spacecraft? No, Spacecraft. What was the other one? The sci-fi one with
StarCraft?
StarCraft, yes. Yeah. Man, a long time ago, I forgot even the name of the game.
Come on, you're not that old.
Sometimes I kind of feel way older.
No. If I'm not allowed to say I was born in the 1900s and in the 90s there, then you're not allowed to say you're old. Come on.
Right. But still, I find myself forgetting lots of stuff, which I know is normal, but it's a bit scary. Anyway, so what I meant, so for my fellow Romanians, for example, yesterday, so I was at the bar, and there was a group of Romanians, of which there was this girl. She was originally from Arad, so this is like almost the westernmost point of Romania, just before going over the border to Hungary, and she was brought here when she was very young, and she was just understanding Romanian, but she couldn't speak. I was a bit okay. Well, that's a bit odd, but whatever. Let's speak in German now. And then I continued speaking with the rest of the group. And where are you from? And, yes. We could hear that you're from Bucharest. I was like, why? Because you have no accent.
What?
Yeah. So that's how, because I've heard that from people from Moldova, like what's nowadays still in Romania, because we still have the Republic of Moldova, which is a separate country now. I've heard this from people from Oltenia, so from the southern western part of Romania, and from Transylvania. So I have at least 4 opinions from 4 different regions.
So Bucharest is Romania's equivalent of Hanover.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It's exactly that. So, it's kind of bizarre, because usually the most developed cities are kind of in the northern part of the country, or the countries.
Like talking about Romania specifically?
No, all countries. Think of it. Like, I can find a couple of examples, I would say. So Rome is kind of in the middle of Italy. London, it's in the south. That's true.
Yeah.
But then, Berlin, it's in the north.
Oh, hold on. Berlin is not the most developed city in Germany.
No, it's not the most.
Excuse me? Come on.
No, he's not. No, he's not. But
in Germany, it's actually south and west.
True. The North Rhine-Westphalian, yes. What I meant, usually the capital, let me reframe it. The capital, it's in the northern part of the country. I would argue most countries. And I might be very wrong.
So I know of at least 2 countries where that's wrong.
I know, I think even more, if I come to think of it right now. But, so I've observed so again, I'm riffing on some opinion, like I was saying earlier, like my grandpa told me something, and I'm creating an entire hypothesis around it. But
you know how it is with mathematical proof, right? One counterexample means you're wrong.
Exactly. No, but one thing was, I was talking with this guy, and he had this theory that the weather pattern around the world determined everything from culture to civilization to how developed.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And he said the hottest a region or a country is, the least developed it will be, which, coming to think of the ancient Assyrians, Babylonians, and whatever, it wouldn't apply because it was still pretty hot.
But
and
not that hot.
yes, maybe
If
indeed.
you go like to regions like Saharan regions or sub-Saharan regions, it's no comparison. Plus, because we had the two big rivers, Euphrates and Tigris,
Yeah.
they actually had an impact, right? And they also helped with shaping the land in a way that made it fertile. So
Yeah, true.
the saying that weather and I would say geography, because it has a direct impact on how the weather is, they shape civilization 100%. Yeah.
No, I mean his idea was not as deeply rooted in facts, but it kind of stayed with me, like the colder countries, because there's not much to do. People tend to be more hardworking because what else is to do? It's one of those opinions that is kind of like, it's true when you just
I don't know.
think of it on the surface, and then
Yeah.
wait up.
Yeah.
How do you explain all the civilizations in India, right? So
Or Egypt
exactly.
or Mesopotamia. Or,
Even though in the time of, I think, of the Middle Kingdom, or like the first Egyptian kingdom, it was way different. Africa was a lot greener.
or the Mesoamerican civilizations, right?
True. But yeah, again, like opinions with not much fact behind them or proof. Yeah, I forgot what I was talking about dialects and the fact that people say that us from Bucharest, we have no accent, which I found to be very bizarre, because if there's one thing about people from Bucharest, is they swear a lot, and they swear like really bad.
So that's your accent.
That's our thing. That's our shtick, right? That's the thing that defines us. And you can trace people who got influenced by Bucharestanians, let's say. So yeah, they will be swearing a lot, and our swear words are very creative, I have to say. And this is one of the talking points my father had, like, yeah, in the time other civilizations were building empires and kingdoms, we were just inventing new swear words.
Which is arguably more fun, though.
It is, but we could have used a bit more kingdom thing and riches.
I don't know, but did you notice, it doesn't matter how many languages you know, when you stub your toe on the table at night,
Yep.
you swear in your mother tongue. It's so funny.
Plus, man,
It's just more fun.
so I learned more than a bunch of bad words and swear words in German. And, I mean, they're okay, but they're kind of on par, I would say. No, they're a bit... they're a bit more, or they're a bit worse than the ones in English, which are really reduced as in quantity and severity.
Yeah.
But if you compare it to Romanian, man, we're like really... I can give one example that's not that bad. So many moons ago, I used to work for IKEA, also in Bucharest, and I had this colleague who, man, this guy had a really tough life. So his father used to be like a factory worker, and he grew up very poor. Somehow he got into the arts high school, and then he moved up into the world. And after a while, he went from job to job, and he ended up as the manager of a gas station. And this was part of a bigger family of businesses and gas station and other petrol-related business. It was a French thing. And
The company or the franchise was French.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah. And every year they had like a big end of year party,
Mhm.
and the big managers and the hot shots from France would come along, to celebrate
Yeah.
with the Romanian counterpart, on all that jazz. And the CEO was there that winter, and he got drunk, like as a skunk, and he said he proposed
did.
a swearing contest with the Romanians.
French versus Romanian.
Yeah. So the French, started with their swear words. They have a lot of fuck you, fuck that, the normal stuff. Plus, lots of comparisons to animal. Like your face look like a frog. You're like the ass of whatever, and this and that. And they started.
Yeah.
And the Romanians were like, not all of them would speak French, so they would need interpreters. Like really? Oh, he said that? Yeah, okay. And they would debate with the translators, like how hard could they go without being fired, right? So in the final of the contest, of course the CEO, because everyone was like, yeah, of course, you sir, you, with a guy who was the son of a miner from the southwest part of Romania. So
A minor, not minor.
not minor, like he was
diggy hole.
yes,
Yeah.
he was going for coal, like he was coal mining. We're still doing that for some reason in Romania. Anyways, also here in Germany,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Talking about
Let's go back to no words. That's more fun.
talking about ecology and their lack of, and this guy was like, would I get fired if I would win, or no, it's just good fun and this and that. And I can't remember what the French dude said, but he said something about this guy's mother, which it's a bit of a faux pas to use a bit of French.
Why? It's a swearing contest.
No, it is a swearing contest, but I think he kind of touched a chord or something, and this guy was like, okay, translate this bit. So there was no fucking, no nothing, but there was like, I would dry up my socks on your mother's cross. When the French guy heard that, he was like, yep, you won. So
Yeah.
and trust me, this is like benign. Like there's so many more, but that guy was like, I need something that he could relate to, because we have lots of swear words about religious stuff, but it's Orthodox religious stuff. So if you're not Orthodox, you don't know, the gist of the story. So yeah, that's how we got from ancient civilizations to sword and other stuff like this.
It's funny because the Assyrian way of cursing is also very similar. It's very, very descriptive, and you can chain things together. And usually by chaining things together, you also go up the chain of the DNA of the tree, let's say.
Right, yeah.
So that's also really funny. And it also it is just the way the language is. So it's very picturesque, and in German we would say blumig, right?
Blumig, flowery.
Yeah, it's like...
right.
So that's funny. And yeah, I like mixing stuff. So...
Okay.
Like swearing in Assyrian mainly, and then, some Spanish, some English, some Russian. So all the good stuff, some German, of course, right? It's a funny mix, yeah. At some point, I just keep going because it's fun chaining stuff.
Yeah. I mean, again...
Also, kids, no.
Yeah, don't exaggerate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean... Again, I'm fascinated by languages, even though I have to say German kind of stumped me with the dirty das and all all that IKEA instruction manual of constructing.
Which does? Das or das?
Yeah, exactly. There are two. Anyways, let's not go there. But yeah, I kind of feel like assembly, like I'm doing IKEA furniture whenever I have to do like an entire phrase is like you have to follow the rules because otherwise you'll get into the weeds very fast. And yeah, anyways, so, but I'm still fascinated by parallels and for example, like false friends. I think I told you at some point my wife she studied Dutch for a couple of years, and for example in Dutch winkel, which here means an angle, usually just angle, or is it like the 90 degrees?
Oh, it depends. If you talk to like handy people, Handwerker, a winkel usually means actually 90 degrees.
90 degrees, right? Yeah. But it also is kind of like the...
yeah, but if you, for example, in the maths context, winkel can be just any degree.
Any
angle, sorry.
Any angle of any degrees, yeah, right.
Degrees, yeah.
Yeah, in Dutch, it means like a corner shop.
Oh, interesting. Which... now that you say it, kind of makes sense, right?
Of course it makes sense, right?
Interesting.
So, all right, I mean, I've read some opinions that, yeah, but you know, like Dutch is kind of like a German dialect. No, it's a Germanic language as well.
Yes.
It's a West Germanic language, but it's not. I mean, there are parallels.
You could say that about Afrikaans and Dutch, but I wouldn't say you can say that about German and Dutch.
Well, I think if you read it, you might understand more than if you hear it spoken.
Yes, maybe, kind of, but also no. Because things look similar, but they mean completely different things.
Okay, I mean, I think if you knew some of the pronunciation rules, you might find it way more similar to German.
Maybe. That works better for Latin and Spanish, for example. So I had Latin at school. I'm late, like on the side, more or less, learning Spanish because a big part of my team is from Spain and also lives and works in Spain. And what you described is happening there. So if I have the time to actually read a Spanish sentence or text, and I have a little bit of time to think about it, I can actually correlate many things from Latin. And so even if I don't know the exact meaning of words, because of course that changes over time.
Yeah.
I
about
get
false friends, right?
Yeah, exactly. I still get the gist of things.
Right.
Right. And it's the same with Italian. If I have the time to read it and, you know, I get some context, I can, you know, understand what's going on. But I tried a few times with Dutch because I lived in Aachen for 2 years.
Yeah, it's very close to the border.
It's very close, and that was not the case there. And arguably my German is like, I don't know how many times, like, I'm looking for a big number right now, better than my Latin. And so it's just different.
Well,
so
now
I wouldn't say it's a German dialect to get back to the initial point. Yeah.
No, I mean, you know, people and their opinions. But about false friends and interesting parallels, right? In German, gift, right, is poison.
Yeah.
In English...
I mean, depends on who you ask.
Exactly.
It might also be a present, you know?
Yeah, it might be for the right person, you know?
It's definitely a surprise, either way.
True. And in Swedish, I think as a noun, it's also poison. But if you use it as a verb, you are gift, it means I'm married.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the noun. Someone told me, and I never verified about. Yeah, check your sources.
Yeah. I'll check while you speak.
Yeah, you can. But I find this like very, very, very fascinating how meanings of words or the meaning of a specific word can change among, let's say, languages from the same family tree, like the Germanic languages.
Yeah.
And it's quite fascinating. I have to say it's truly, truly fascinating. And I like that. And about understanding different languages for us Romanians. So we understand most of Italian when we hear it spoken. Let's say more standardish Italian. So in Italy, I think the Milanese dialect is considered or it's either the Milanese or the one spoken in Toscana. It's considered the standard one, as I read at some point, and other ones are really hard to decipher, I have to say. Even though I discovered while listening to some guys from Sicily talking, so from the Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
I was following along like a lot, and some of the words were pronounced exactly like in Romanian. And I was like, Sicilian and Romanian. Who would have thought? Because I was just telling my wife earlier. So Sicily is one of those very interesting places. So it was, I think, a long time ago under Greek rule, and then it changed hands with Carthaginians.
Yes.
And then the Romans came, and then after the fall of Rome, I don't know exactly what happened exactly after, but in the Middle Ages they got included in a Norman. So they were the Normans, right? The Vikings conquered them, the French Vikings.
Yeah.
And then I think the Venetians and then the Catalonians.
Almost everybody had a go.
Almost everyone went through there. And so in their language you can find, depending on which side of the island, you'll find Catalan words.
Yeah.
You'll find Arabic words. You'll find all kind of words.
Yeah.
It's truly, truly impressive and very interesting. It's truly like a cauldron of cultures and
it's like a melting pot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, because you said Carthage, do you also have that little voice in your head that always wants to say "Ceterum censeo Carthaginem esse delendam" when you hear that?
No,
Okay.
but now I might.
So Cato the Elder used to use the sentence as a closing for all his speeches, which basically means
in the Senate, right? Or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the sentence means, and by the way, I think Carthage needs to be deleted from the map, basically. So destroyed.
Which they did.
They did, yeah.
They did,
yeah. And while you were talking, I looked it up. So you are right. Gift in Swedish, depending on the context, can mean to be married, or can mean actual poison.
Yeah. That's interesting, and also
that's an interesting correlation. To say the least.
Interesting thing in Swedish, G is silent. It's kind of like in Turkish. I was telling you about my student.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not gift, it's ift. Yeah, and there was a what was it? En. It's spelled igen, kind of like the yes in Hungarian, but en. I think it meant again or something like that, because it also sounds like the again in English. Mind you, I learned Swedish how many years back? 15 years or so. So the fact that some of it stayed, it's
amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, so we started somewhere, and of course somewhere total, like from what it was like your little mind game exercise of useless superpower that could get you
the terrible superpower that's technically useful and makes you powerful and rich.
We went through history, cultures, fake history, no words, swear words, contests, and we're ending up with like language comparisons. So if you manage to stay until the end, well, kudos to you.
Thank you very much.
You're our hero.
Also, if you want us to talk about anything or have ideas for the next episode, just comment.
Right. So see you in the next one.
Thanks everyone. See you soon, mate. Thank you.
See you, mate. Ciao.